I'll be live streaming for the first hour of the market open 2 to 3 times every week starting tomorrow. So make sure you click the notification button on YouTube, unless you're a Discord member, because obviously I'm live from open to close all day, every day, right? So today was amazing, right? Obviously we printed huge on HIMS, and the stock then had a absolute brutal pullback. Luckily, one of the things that I noticed, especially on the socials, is people were crying because they hadn't quite mastered how to make sure they're taking profits, right? And we should have even made more on this position than we did. Like, this weekly was a full close here because I had already sized down yesterday. It was my wife's birthday, and I was going to be out and about all day. So when I saw the weakness in the stock, I had to close some, and there was no real reason to get back into the weeklies, but I had all those longer dated contracts on. So I still had very large sizing in the 620s. So we ended up collecting, I think, about 300% on that trade. And we had these small quantum positions on as well. We were keeping these small, and they ended up getting burned. This one was actually just a roll, so we still made money on that at least. But we collected 300% on HIMS, caught 61% on Dollar General. It was a really good day, right? We caught a scalp on Palantir and that late day pump as well. And then, again, taking profits. And this is something that, on the socials, people are really struggling with, is learning to time stuff better, right? Especially on HIMS. HIMS is a brutal stock to trade, right? We made an absolute killing on this initial rally for this name, and even I gave back a significant amount of profits in this brutal chop that followed as we didn't get the follow through, right? But we came back in here with size, and one of the key things there was seeing the TTM on the weekly flip. Even without the news, this is a signal to really get long on a stock. And one of the things that I talked about with members in a private video was a similar setup to what we see here on Robinhood, where the daily, both on Robinhood and HIMS, was melting to the downside. But we even see here Robinhood ended up confirming to the upside on that. It's the same thing with HIMS, where the daily is showing some weakness, but the weekly is now flipping to the upside. And so what we're looking for later this week is for the daily to also get a reversal candle. It did reverse initially on the news, but then sold off. Now, there is some speculation that this purchase that I did with Zava is then going to benefit the company. I actually did a huge write-up thread on X where I had GPT give me its best bear case for HIMS, and then I picked it apart. This is something I actually do with like a lot of my trade ideas, where I'll feed it to the GPT-03, which is like the best model, and then I just will show the bear case, and then one by one, point by point, I picked it apart on why it's wrong. I tell it, give me your strongest steel man for why HIMS is bearish. So you can go check that out and read it if you want to. But really, I just wanted to talk about using something like TTM, which is a composition of multiple factors to figure out where the underlying momentum is in the stock. And even when we just look at the basics of the structure, like heading into that, we had the EMA flip, right? So we had this bearish EMA, and we had these false breakouts. And then yesterday we actually broke out, or rather Monday we broke out, and then we held above it. So that's when I started buying the monthlies. That's why I started sizing up in the position, and that's why I held it, right? Even into the weakness that we got yesterday, it really wasn't that bad. We were still holding above like this prior key level. That we actually even held into the close today, like this 55 level, even though we are below the EMAs, like this is a pretty big level. The stock has consolidated around for a while. We've even seen it turn into like some resistance, and then we got the nice pop over it. We even closed over it today. Tomorrow, what you want to see is I want to pretty quickly get back over 56, and I don't want to see a breakdown below 51. That said, if we look at the longer time frames for HIMS, like if we can come all the way back to 48 and this still be pretty bullish, so like the daily can even like give a break down a bit to the bearishness, and the weekly will likely consolidate a bit, and then we can get the confirmation if we can get the daily and the weekly to actually fire in tandem to the upside. So that is if the daily gets bearish and then flips back positive with the weekly within one or two candles flipping green like this. It's actually one of my best performing setups for this stock, and we've got solid catalyst, right? From the best telehealth company there is, right? Go read that bull bear case if you want to kind of read more about it. Nobel Trading over on X, obviously, on all the socials. So yeah, this is one of my favorite setups right now. MP was another one that we made some small profits on today, but it caught a lot of stagnation. Tomorrow I want to see if we can kind of get over this key level here at the basically 2250. So I'm actually going to set an alert here actually for this one. And then see if we can catch another extension. There's decent RVOL still here. It's not as good as it was, but it's pretty decent. DG was a name that also printed really nicely today. We can pull that one up over here. And I really like to see the gap fill back up to the upside, up to 22. And one of the great things about this one is the RVOL was crazy high here on this, and also the TTM was pretty supportive as well. So the RVOL is still a 6 into this. So I'm looking for a nice extension. This actually set up like a really nice triangle on the day as well. So we got the nice breakout. It looks like it broke back down into it, but we'll see tomorrow if we can get a nice continuation back over that level. But obviously this is a pretty bullish structure, especially when you get the big breakout. You then form this little bullish triangle right here. So I'm looking to see if we can get a further continuation tomorrow. It should be a really good day too. It might be even a nice, we'll look for like a bullish divergence in the morning to see if we can load up into that position. It'll be a top name on the watch list. Uber is setting up a really interesting play here that I'm looking for like a short opportunity. We can see that we're starting to kind of break down here. We had this resistance kind of hit 3 times here on this stock. And so I'm looking to see like a false like breakout over these key levels, and then it broke down. That's really bearish. Like I've said many times before, for especially day traders, like there's nothing more bearish than a false breakout or a failed breakout. So coming back to that, if we can actually break this bullish EMA here on the daily, I think it's going to be a nice short setup. And I'm going to kind of look to see if we can come to the bottom channel here. Looks like there's like some old trade notes here, probably from a class or something, which by the way, sorry to our Discord members, there was no class today. I actually kinked my neck holding my son. As some of you know, I've been in an extensive physical therapy with a bad neck, and it's probably a combination of holding him in a weird way and kinking it. This is actually really messy, but I think what we're looking for is right there. It's kind of setting up this parallel channel here. I'm kind of see if we can visit back to the parallel channel. My neck is fine though. I just had to rest and heat it up a little bit. We also see the daily just flipped to bearish as well, and the weekly is starting to break down here. So I think it's a good idea to try and look for some Uber shorts. I'm just kind of being patient because obviously the market's kind of been in a melt up mode here, and volatility's been doing a really good job of confirming that as well. Bonds have still been having a lot of stagnation, but it hasn't stopped the risk on from the market. You know, we talked about those smaller quantum positions that eventually blew me out. I think on QBTS I ended up actually had a net loss, and then QUBT I ended up making like a marginal amount of money after giving some back on that roll. Significant back on that roll. But seeing how those quantum stocks, which is pretty much as far out on the risk curve as you can get, right? The technology is like 4 years away. Granted, it is mostly retail, so it's not really giving you a great idea of like where the speculation is on the greater market. It's more of like what the risk appetite is for retail. Kind of it's more of an indicator of like the M2 money supply probably. But IWM is. And seeing this rally really nicely and kind of the broader, it shows you the breadth of the rally rather, and how much the market is broadly moving. I mean, it's even better than what we're seeing from the SPY, right? This is like a 40-60. Like 40%'s red, 60%'s green. Lots of stuff we're running. Like it definitely was an AI trend with CoreWeave leading the way. You know, I do want to talk about this because I keep mentioning this one. We had several alerts set to take trades on this one, and I was just hesitant on all of them. And after you get the move like this and something like this is this parabolic, I feel a lot of FOMO when I look at this. And when I start feeling like that FOMO, I'm typically not going to take something. You know, I'm not really looking to chase something that's at a 91 RSI on the 65 minute. I've missed it. Sometimes you just miss them. There's other opportunities, right? You know, we caught HIMS, we made a killing there. We missed CoreWeave, the CoreWeave move. So be it. That's how it goes sometimes. You got to kind of accept that you're not going to hit everything, and there's going to be some missed opportunities. You know, it sucks a little bit more when this really wasn't a miss. It was just something I hesitated to take. I just don't have the same fundamental convictions as the market does, obviously. You know, it's an interesting idea to really review though, because in 2020 hindsight, I can kind of build the case, right? We have like Broadcom earnings coming up. We had NVIDIA earnings. Market was agreeable with it. And then you have CoreWeave, who's this fast growing parabolic name that has both tailwinds and headwinds coming with the sector. We had the APL deal, what was that stock? The Applied Digital Corporation deal news that also came out this morning, which was bullish for them as well. So I thought that would actually be bullish for Applied Digital, but didn't seem to be the case. This thing just did some consolidation. I would say that this is still some bullish consolidation though, because we are coming off a pretty hot rally for this name. So, you know, we've increased the market cap by like 45%. So consolidating here near the highs is pretty bullish. I actually think that we probably want to set alert here over 1060 and see if it's going to present an opportunity for us to buy maybe like some $12 calls. I'll say review here. It's a little bit more speculative. I need to see what that structure looks like tomorrow. But we'll keep that idea alive. Uranium was a big driver this morning. ECG signed a multi-year deal, or 20-year deal rather, with Meta. So that's really big news. Caused a huge moonshot on this stock, bringing it to all-time highs, but it actually sold off, gave up the full rally. Something that also was kind of persistent and nuclear broadly. as far as utility companies go. The more speculative names, or even uranium itself, was actually really bullish. UUU actually looks like to be leading the way. So that's actually really interesting to see. I didn't really keep a close eye on it today. Oklo and SMR getting given up some of these gains. BWXT is a name that I've actually added to the long term because of their leadership role when it comes to those SMRs, which I think is super exciting. They also do like mobile nuclear reactors, which is really cool. They've got a bunch of special contracts with the Navy and with the government and with in Europe as well. So the stock trades at a premium for a reason, and I really, really like a nice, solid leadership stock to purchase in that technology sector. I think Oklo is probably your second, and SMR is probably your last. The SMR story is actually a bit odd, and so be careful with this SMR one because you have this large holding company, I think FLR, that owns like 61% of SMR, and they've actually been unloading shares. They're actually shorting the stock as they unload shares. So kind of be cautious of that. They're like both buying back, unloading, and trying to not cause the stock to crash and get good exits. So there's a lot of manipulation on that name, and I would kind of like to wait until they're done with that process before I take an interest here. It's also probably the most speculative between these three, so just be mindful of that. As far as the broader market goes, though, everything's great. I'm keeping a close eye on Roblox. I would like to see a pullback soon. We actually did a little bit of a fun watching some YouTube videos about how this stock's making new millionaires and how the game producers of this stock view it as like the YouTube of gaming. I said producers, I should have said developers, but it's really interesting. And this thing does not want to pull back. It will give a pullback. It just this name is like trading like the index, where it's like looking for a reason to sell and not doing it until it happens. That is a pretty strict cohesion to that EMA right there. So I am looking for the pullback because it is very overbought, and I'm looking to buy some dips here with some calls because I think this stock is finally over the hump. And I wouldn't be surprised after a minor pullback if I'm not the only one looking to get into this that's feeling like they're a bit late to the idea. So at the first sign of a pullback, maybe to that blue EMA on the daily, I'm going to be buying some calls in this stock and looking for all-time highs. So there's some other trade ideas I've got in the Discord, but I just wanted to do a update on YouTube, kind of share that. Wanted to do some deeper analysis on HIMS, kind of cover a few ideas that I really like. So if you want to learn more, it's free to join the Discord. Check out the link down below. Have a good night, guys, and God bless.